I just had to return a lens that I really, really, really didn't want to return. Let's talk about it. What's up, everybody? Welcome back to MBC Arts. On this channel we talk about filmmaking gear, tips, and tutorials, and today is the story of how I owned a 70-200 2.8 from Tamron for one day, and then I had to return it. So I can't really even be mad because part of it lies on me, this big mistake, and this is going to be just kind of a quick video. I had a different video planned to come out this week, but everything just seemed to be against me at this point. I don't know. So last week I made a video on what's in my travel kit for photography and for travel video and stuff like that. Amazing kit, but I went out to test it up at Silver Lake. If you follow me on Instagram, I did post some pictures there I took with my buddy Caleb. You've also seen him on this channel. The one thing that I was wishing that I had in that travel kit while I was out was a 70-200 millimeter. I've never owned a 70-200 because I've always had this lens right here, the 50-100 millimeter. I always thought 100 millimeters would be just fine for video, but I've gotten into photography a little bit more since then, especially since stepping up to my full frame camera. I've gotten really into photography, and so I've just kind of wanted a 70-200 to get that extra reach, and to not only get that extra reach, but to have that really nice 2.8 compressed background that I really seem to enjoy. So what this meant for me is that I said, well, if I'm gonna get a 70-200, I might as well get a 24-70 to go along with it, because this would give me two advantages. One, it would give me a set of lenses that I could use on both my full frame camera and my APS-C camera, which is my Canon C200. These lenses here are amazing lenses. The Sigma 18-35 millimeter is probably like one of my favorite lenses ever made. But the biggest issue with it is it doesn't go on a full frame camera. Like, I mean, you can put it on a full frame camera physically, but you're gonna have a vignette ring around that because this is made for crop sensor cameras only, unless you like zoom out all the way to 35 millimeters. But I wanted a little bit more versatility than just a 35 millimeter on here, right? Same thing with the 50-100 millimeter. So I would gain a set of lenses that I can use on both cameras. This would kind of thin out like my gear haul a little bit, make it a little bit easier for me to pack stuff up. That way I wouldn't have to pack like two sets of lenses depending on if I wanted to take both cameras out that day for a shoot. I can just take one set, use both of them in conjunction. It would just be a lot easier. And then the second thing this would give me is image stabilization. Now, the C200 does not have any image stabilization at all. The EOS RP does, but I did want to kind of test out and see what it would be like to have both electronic stabilization and lens stabilization both enabled with the EOS RP. I think it would get some really, really cool results. So I took to the internet. I kind of knew some brands that I kind of wanted to go with. One of them being Sigma and the other one being Tamron. Both lenses, I'm using a Tamron lens right now on this camera, and I've been using Sigma lenses for a long time with my Canon C200. I didn't really want to go for the Canons just because they're a little bit more money, and Canon doesn't offer a 70-200 or a 24-70 with image stabilization on the lens. And I wanted both my lenses to be kind of from the same manufacturer so I can kind of match the look. I know there's going to be some variations to this no matter with whatever lens I go with, but I wanted to be I thought it would be safe to go with the same manufacturer on both lenses. That way I can kind of have a similar look between both of them if I'm kind of swapping them out on a shoot day, which would save me a lot more time in post when I'm like trying to correct the image. So I decided to kind of go with either Tamron or Sigma. Now the Sigma lenses I've had amazing luck with, but I was willing to give Tamron a shot because I've been so impressed with this 17-35 f2.8 to f4 lens that I have on this camera. And the Tamrons came in at a little bit lower of a cost. That's where everything went wrong. So I decided to order the Tamron 70-200 millimeter because that was the lens that I wanted first. I figured if I save up enough money to buy that lens and then sell these two guys off for the 24-70, I would be pretty good to get both lenses rather quickly, right? So I bought the 70-200 and I used it on the EOS RP. Such a good lens. It was sharp, the bokeh was nice, there was hardly any chromatic aberration that I could see, and I was pixel peeping on a computer. This is the first and the only image that I took with this camera. My cousin wanted some headshots done for her for a couple of assignments she had to do for college, and I loved the image. It was such a breeze to edit. It was sharp. I didn't really have to do a whole lot to it. The colors came out fantastic on that lens, and I was in love. I was like, this is it. This is the lens. This is like my new favorite lens. I was so impressed, and it's not a bad lens by any means, but this is where the biggest problem with the lens comes in. Tamron G2 lenses are not compatible with Canon's cinema line of cameras. So I decided to take a day trip down to Midway because the leaves are starting to change here in Utah, and that's kind of when the whole plan went bust. So I decided to take my C200 down there with me, as well as my Canon EOS RP. Well, I wanted to kind of make a video about this lens because I was so hyped about it. I wanted to make a video about it and share it with you guys. Well, that's when the biggest flaw about this lens, and the one thing that made me return it, happened. So I get down to the national park and I pull out my C200 out of my cinema bag, right? And I'm gonna go shoot some footage. Well, I turn on the camera and the autofocus isn't working, and I'm like, what the heck is going on? And so I'm like, oh, I must be in manual focus. The switch, I must have flipped the switch, taking it out of the bag, you know, simple stuff. It was in autofocus, and I was like, okay, well, and then I tried to turn on the stabilization, the vibration control on the lens, the VC, and that wouldn't work either. And so I decided to kind of take the lens off, because I wanted to make sure it wasn't the lens that's broken, right? Because I was like, okay, so is it the lens that's broken, or is it just a setting on my camera? Or God forbid, is it my camera broken? So I take off the lens and I put it on this Canon EOS RP, which I had with me, and it worked fine. The lens worked fine. I'm like, okay, weird. And so I decided to check the settings in my Canon C200, and everything was fine. But when I put on the lens on the C200 body, all the autofocus and face detection and everything was grayed out. It was like I was using a manual cinema lens on the C200. I was so disappointed because I really like that lens. And Tamron, if you're listening, or Canon, if you're listening to this, like this, like what? You know, this EOS RP has newer technology than the Canon C200 does, and the Tamron lenses work just fine, even with the adapter on there, you know, which could cause more issues. Well, I just don't understand how a lens can work with a newer camera and not work with an older camera when both of them use the same autofocus technology. I just don't understand it. Googling and kind of maneuvering around the internet, kind of reading up more on this, Tamron, I guess, just does not test all their lenses with all of Canon's bodies, and I guess they're just not made for the cinema line, so I had to return the lens, unfortunately. So if you're watching this and you're kind of looking into getting some Tamron lenses, be sure to read reviews and to read questions on like B&H or Adorama or wherever you're gonna buy the lens, because I should have done that, and this kind of like where the fault comes back onto me. I should have been more diligent in my research when looking into these lenses, because I wouldn't have never even looked at them if I would have known that they weren't compatible with my C200, because that was the whole point, was to have one set of lenses for both cameras. And for me, I've never ever had a compatibility issues, no matter if it was third-party lenses on a Canon body. I've never had that before, even with when I was with Sony. So buyers beware. If you are looking into the Tamron glass, and if you own a Canon cinema camera like a C100, C200, or even that new C70 that just came out, which actually looks really freaking cool, but yeah, no, that's a really cool camera. I kind of want to do a video on that one too. Compare it, maybe rent it, compare it to my C200, I don't know. But yeah, so just a quick video to kind of tell you guys like what my experience has been these last couple of weeks trying to make a freaking video for you guys, and all the complications that I've had. So I have returned the lens successfully. I don't know what I'm going to go with next. I'm probably going to end up going with the Sigma versions of this. I've done some research, and those lenses are compatible with both my EOS RP and my Canon C200, so that'll probably be kind of what I go with. Or you know what? Who knows? I might just even, you know, splurge and get the Canon versions of the glass. I don't know. I'm not sure yet. So guys, that's about it for the video. Just a quick one today. But I did want to ask you guys, leave a comment down below and tell me what kind of content you want to see coming from me. I've just been kind of going off of a list I've made of video ideas, but I really do want to make some videos that you guys want to see if it is in my capabilities. I am making these videos for you guys after all. Well guys, that is about it for this video. Thanks so much for watching. If you like this video, leave a like and a comment down below. If you want to see more from me, make sure you hit that subscribe button and ring that bell for notifications so you don't miss a single video that I produce. And as always guys, I will see you guys in the next video. See you later.